In this video, we're going to finish off the rear subframe and get all the brake lines fitted, ready to go. So what we actually need to do on here first, I've got the limiting valve fitted. The purpose of that is so when you're braking the car, what will happen is all four wheels will have pressure applied to the brakes, and then this valve will actually get to a certain point where it won't let any more pressure into the rear brakes and then send all the rest of the pressure to the front of the vehicle. So that's the purpose of that valve. The other parts I've got fitted here, this is one of the exhaust mounts. That's an old one, the rubber's a bit perished, but I've fitted it in there just so I can sort of see what room I need to allow for allowances for the pipes. And also on this tab here, I've put one of these little tabs that hold the cable in place. Okay, so I've already made a little bit of a start on the cable. So this is one of the old brake pipes that leads from the valve here to the right hand side of the car over here. And then I've just made another copy of that one there. It's a similar shape, but of course it's slightly different, but it will serve the purpose. The other thing as well, I've got two new brake hoses, so they attach from underneath here and then work their way all the way to the top of the radius arm. So I'll show you that point. Okay, so first I want to just fit the brake line or the brake hoses. So what we need to do here is both ends are identical, so it doesn't matter which way around it goes, but you'll notice there's like a little natural bend in there, so I'll make use of that to not stress the rubber as much. So I'll feed it through here and then it will stick through that little hole there, and that is where it needs to be held on there with a washer and also a nut. So the washers I'm using are these ones here, which are designed so they won't unravel. So put one of those on and a nut to hold that on. And I'm only just going to do this hand tight for now because we need to move things around a little bit. Okay, so that's tight enough. I will tighten that up a bit more. All right, let's show you where the other end goes. So the other end of that hose fits in this little bracket here that's on the radius arm. So that will just sort of slide into there like that. And then on this side here, we're going to have one of those washers, and then also a nut to hold that on. So I'll just do that hand tight for now. I've got here the brake pipe. So this is the original, which comes from the right hand brake cylinder on the hub there. So that will be screwed in there, and that sort of joins into that point there. But I need to remake one of these for the other side as well, and then I'll remake this one as well because I want to use a clean pipe with no rust or anything in it. Now the little section of pipe that goes from the valve here, so that's the input here, there's the outputs. I already know that this fits because we've test fitted it and I know it's all okay. So we'll just tighten it up again. Again, I'm just going to get it into place. Just so we can sort of get the brake pipe done on this side, because that's the one I haven't done yet. I'll leave it there. Okay. So this is the original pipe that went on the side that leads to the left-hand side. It's a bit bent, and the actual shape of that is not correct, or it's not original to how it needs to go. So let's cut a new piece of pipe. All right, so the next job now is to work out the path that this needs to take. Okay, so if we're starting over here, this is going to be a bit tricky because it's going to be in the way. I just need a hole to shove it through. There we go. So the way it works, we start off over here. I'll just push the pipe into there for now, and then the brake pipe needs to come underneath this piece here. Looking at images, I can sort of see that people do put a bend in it, so the pipe goes closer to here, closer to the actual wall of the subframe. So that's something I'll probably do first at that end, just to try and get it in the right spot. Alright, so I've got a couple of bends in there now, so I've sort of made a bend there, and then the other end I'll sort of just bend sort of where I think it needs to go. But then we can sort of just try and just see how it fits. I'll just get it onto that little clamp, just so we can sort of try and get things in the right spot. The angle here definitely needs adjusting because that isn't going to go in correctly. You'll notice that I'm actually using steel pipe opposed to copper, and the reason for that is that in Australia, our design rules for vehicles state that steel has to be used, so we can't use copper. Copper's a lot easier to actually get the flanges put in as well because it's much softer. There's no need to tighten that up because the actual flange is sitting inside the housing where it needs to. So that's following along, that's nice and even. This end here just needs to be adjusted to meet up here, and then of course I'm going to need to cut the end down because it's slightly too long. Okay, so I've attempted to make a copy of this is the original right-hand side brake pipe. So I've now made a mirror image copy for the left-hand side. So we just need to fit that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the height of this radius arm is a lot higher than what it would normally be. So I haven't tightened up this one yet. So I'm just going to fit it. I've test fitted it and that seems to be the right size. And there's all cable ties in the way as well. So I'm just going to fit it, but a little bit looser than what it would be. So I'll fit it, tighten everything up by hand, and then just see how it all goes. Okay, that looks okay. All right, now I just need to make a copy of the original right-hand side, just so I've got a newer one, and then I'll fit that to the other side. Okay, so those brake lines are fitted to both sides now, and everything is tightened up. Okay, so the next step we need to do is get these studs fitted to the hub. The studs that I've got here, these ones are slightly longer. I think they're 55mm. The reason why I need to use the longer studs is because the building spacing on these drums. So these are, I believe they're the same as a Cooper S drum. So the spacer is actually built into it, brings the wheel further away. So the best way to do this you can press them in. I don't have a press, so what I will be doing is just torquing up the nuts to drive these in. So if this is a used hub, there are some grooves in there where the previous studs have gone in, and they can sort of help to align those up, just so it doesn't just keep spinning. Maybe a couple of taps with a hammer just to help them settle in, that might be good. I'm just trying to be careful here because I don't want to get any dirt or debris inside the bearings. It's just that normally you would put the studs in first and then do the bearing, but just waiting on the parts, I've only got the studs now. I'll just give that a few taps just so it's not going to move anywhere. And then I'll do the same with the next one, but what I probably should do first, let me just get the diagonal one in. And I only want to just get these sort of sitting into position just so they don't drop out when I turn it upside down. Because you want to actually fit the drum on before you tighten the nuts and pull the studs right up, because there is some variation in the spacing there. And then if it's incorrect, the stud can come at the wrong angle or be out too much, and then you won't get the drum on and off easily. Of course, the screws that hold on the drum, you need to use the longer screws. I do have them, but I've just got a couple of shorter ones here. I'll go and grab the longer screws. Okay, so I've got the longer screws. You can see there's a big difference here in the length of those, and it needs to be longer because of this section that's spaced away from where the actual hub is sitting in there. So you can sort of see straight away that's not going in straight. I'll just move that greasy washer out of the way and just put that somewhere safe. All right, there we go. So the hub is now sort of sitting in there flat. That's okay. So now I just need to get these screws in just to hold everything together. And the reason why I've got the hub off the car, because if you're changing the studs, you need to take the hub off. Once you undo the nut, it just slides off. So it would not be easy to do it with the hub on the car. But you want these both to line up. So the studs will stay in the correct position so they can actually fit onto this particular wheel drum. So what I'm actually just going to do is use a washer. I've got a washer here. And then you don't necessarily need to use a washer, but depends if you don't want to damage the surface here, because it's, yeah. I'm actually going to put the flat side, so you'll notice that these are tapered because the actual wheel nuts are what centre the wheel onto the studs. But I'm just going to use the flat side just so there's more surface area there. I'll just do that by hand first of all. Then I'll just use the impact wrench to tighten that up. Seem to have lost one of the studs. I might just do them diagonally. So I'll grab another washer and then I'm just going to sit that stud back in. So I haven't fully done them up yet, so that it's starting to pull them in. But that's the whole purpose of this, because you want it to just get them in so they all stay level to the holes on the actual drum. These two I'm just going to knock off using washers just to save a bit of time. Like, it's only an issue if you don't want to scratch that surface, but that's just bare metal. I'll just take a look and see how things are looking on the back. That one's pretty flat. These three still need to be wound in a bit more. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Just this one just needs a little bit more. Okay. Okay, I'll just put that washer back on there just to protect the grease a bit. So those studs are sticking out at the distance, so that's in their normal position now. So what I'm actually going to do is get a wheel and tyre, just so you can sort of see how far they stick through. I'll just give myself a bit more room. All right, this might be a bit fiddly to do while it's up on the bench, because I need to sort of balance it and hold it at the same time. Okay, there we go. And just for a test fit, we'll do all these up. So this time I'm putting the nuts on. The tapered end goes on the inside because the taper fits into these holes on the actual rim, and then that's what helps centre the wheel. So some wheels are hub centred, where the actual hub fits into this circular part of the wheel to help centre it, but these ones, the nuts do the job of centering it. Okay, there we go. So that is how it looks. So the actual studs are sort of a bit level with the nuts on there. All right, so now I can get that hub back onto the actual subframe. All right, so back on the subframe, so the wheel hub will just slide back on. Okay, and then we can do up this nut. This will need to be torqued to the correct spec, but I'll just get it on hand tight for now. Just keep in mind that, I don't think I mentioned on the previous video, this is the left side of the car, and the way that this nut goes on, this is a left-hand front thread. So to tighten it, you'll notice I'm turning it anti-clockwise to tighten it. So normally that will be torqued up, and then a split pin will go in that hole. I might just put that in there for now, and I'll leave it like that. That way it will remind me that it's not torqued up yet. Okay. All right, so now we can get the drum back on there. So again, just make sure you get it the right way, because these are the screw holes, and it needs to line up so you can get those screws in. I'll just put these screws back in just so it does not fall off. So you notice it slid on nice and easy. That's because all the studs are level with the actual holes on it, and it makes a big difference. So don't just belt in studs with a hammer. Always tighten them up with the drum, because then that way they will line up nicely. Okay, so we're going to fit the suspension components, the spring and the high-low kit. I'll just show you the kit I purchased. That's the one. There's no specific branding on that, but it's just like a generic kit. The front and rear components, they're all the same. Of course, the rear uses these parts, where the front, that sits directly on the rubber spring, and then that part goes into the little ball joint at the bottom. So we'll need two of those there for the front, and these are what we are going to use. So the first thing I need to do is release these cable ties. I'm not going to bother trying to reuse them. I'll take that one out. I may just be able to leave that lower one sitting there. And I've already installed the little piece, which might be a bit difficult to see from the view there. Okay, so the bottom part of the suspension is right here. So this piece here, there's a ball joint there, and then that end piece there goes into the main tube of the high-low. And then the rubber spring, of course, sits up here. So I'm going to wind these all the way down, so they're adjustable, and then to adjust the height you just wind that bolt out, and then this nut there is a lock nut to get it into the position that you want it. But I'll leave it on the minimum for now. Get our rubber spring, that will just sit in there like that. If you need to put something, copper grease or something on the inside of that so it doesn't stick over time. So that end there sits into the pin on there, like that. And then all we do now is just move that nut or spin that, doesn't matter which way. But that will adjust it based on the normal height. So normally this arm would sort of be up there somewhere, and then you can sort of see how that's compressed and staying together. But because this won't be fitted to the car for a while, I will loosen this down, because then that way it will enable me to get this radius arm sort of at least sort of in that position, just so it doesn't get in the way when I'm storing this. Alternatively, just take the whole thing apart, because we don't need to fit the suspension right now, and that can be fitted after the subframe is installed. Okay, so I think I'll leave it there. That's pretty much it for the rear subframe. There's not much else that needs to be done on that, so that's going to be put into storage until it's ready to be fitted to the car, which will be a while yet. Alright, thanks for watching my videos.